So now that we've got a really good handle on workforce planning, we're going to talk about the second most important part of workforce development, which is the actual training side of it. Because although I said it's not all about training, training is obviously one of the most major parts of workforce development itself. So I'm going to explain to you now the 8 major steps of instructional design. Whether you are delivering and developing the training yourself or not, these steps are vital for you in making sure that the right training is being delivered to the right people, so that all the workforce planning that you've just done isn't all in vain. And in fact, you will see here how the workforce planning itself is a huge part of preparing for this next part of the section, which is why I say the workforce planning at a much higher organisational level is so important in the training and development of the workforce itself. So step number 1 of instructional design happens to be the same as step number 1 for workforce planning. It's about looking at the strategic objectives of the company. Once we've got the overall strategic objectives, we then need to look at the next level down, which are the key result areas of the business. Again, they could be site, they could be departmental, and then underneath that you have the key performance indicators, which are much more specific to either departments or groups of individuals within the business. And then of course we have the key performance indicators for specific job roles, and then underneath that we have the key performance indicators for specific individuals. So when we are designing training, when we are putting training together, we need to do what Stephen Covey says, which is to begin with the end in mind. We need to know exactly what it is that we are trying to achieve from this training, so that we are not doing this whole training for training's sake thing. We know that the training we're putting in place is going to help us achieve and attain these strategic objectives and obviously the profitability of our company. We need to decide here whether we are putting the training on to gain something. Like I've mentioned, will it be to gain the right employees? Will it be to gain a certain level of profitability? Or are we trying to avoid something? Are we trying to avoid risk? Are we trying to avoid injuries? Are we trying to avoid poor performance? Whatever it might be, we need to get a really good idea as to what the purpose is of the training. What is the point, is the question we're answering at this particular stage of the instructional design.